Welcome back to LatiNation. I'm your host, Humberto Guida. Now, up next, we catch up with Ben Lopez, Executive Director of NALIP, which stands for the National Association of Latino Independent Producers. The national membership organization works to address the professional needs of Latino content creators. It's the premier Latino media organization, and for close to 20 years, it has stood up for the most underrepresented and largest ethnic minority in the country, us. And coming up, we find out more about NALIP's mission to discover, promote, and inspire diverse voices across all media platforms, including right here on LatiNation.
My name is Ben Lopez. I'm Executive Director of the National Association of Latino Independent Producers. NALIP was born out of necessity to preserve funding for Latino public media. About 18 years ago, we were going to lose, as a public, as a community, documentarians were going to lose the ability to create content, documentary content. And so it was due to a coalition of folks, and eventually the narrative folks, the movie makers, also united themselves to this effort to save that funding. And to their credit, instead of going home after that effort, they actually decided to create NALIP. It was based out of New York initially, and eventually they moved it to California. I began volunteering for NALIP 12 years ago. I actually started out as an up-and-coming producer, producing independent films. It just so happens that they needed a fixer. They needed someone that was really good at logistics. I volunteered for like 3 or 4 years, and eventually they hired me as the Latino Media Market Coordinator, which is a series of meetings between executives and content creators. And after 4 years, they really wanted me to stay on, and they hired me as Projects Director. And as of January of this year, I got promoted to Executive Director. I think NALIP has done the great work of informing the public, of planting the seeds of the new generation over the last 15, 16 years. Now we're coalescing around those seeds, and now we're really, I would say, figuring out the way that we have access to the studios and the best way to get our people hired and our content bought, and really amplify the impact of what Latinos are in media now. We're over 90 million folks coexisting in this country, and our stories haven't been told.
There's so many work that we do, the Latinos all over the world, that is not being recognized, so this is a great platform to be all together.
Every decade we hear the decade of the Hispanic, the decade of the Latino. This year we're talking about Latinx, digital, next gen, right? Latinos taking over. However, the reality is, and we actually have access to the numbers based on a lot of academic studies and studies by the guilds, and we know for a fact that Latinos are grossly unrepresented in media, entertainment. We're not behind the camera or in front of the camera. And I think that's why NALIP exists, to create a platform where Latinos can thrive and Latinos can actually be connected to those resources. I think it's our time.
It's great for Latinos to get together and figure out what are the common problems so that we can help each other figure out how to overcome them.
The future of NALIP is really incredible. I think that there's nothing but upward progress. We are actually going to be launching a dedicated incubator for women to find opportunities for Latinas. And in 2018, I'm launching an incubator for LGBTQ. I'm also launching an incubator right now because everything that's happening with DACA, that is going to be tying in those stories with those folks that are being affected, 800K of them that are being affected, and how do we get those content creators or their stories on air, and we get them to be hired permanently, especially if they're in the creative arts. But the most important thing that I tell people, you know what? I would love for you guys to become members, but first, why don't you come to our events? Check us out. Go to any of the Media Summit, attend the Media Fest, try to apply for any of the incubators, and let's find out who you are, because we really want to get to know you. We are going to be fighting for you right there in the trenches, and making sure that we're selling you to the studios. So we want to know who you are. So that's what's important. That's the first way to engage with us.